Yeah, I was like, okay.
Okay. Oh.
When we get close, everybody stares at us.
All right, here we go. I'd like to call to order the Board of Education meeting for Monday, May 8th. If everyone would rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let the record show we have all board members present except for Jeff Hires and Tammy West. We need to adopt the agenda, including the supplemental personnel report.
I move the adoption.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Barbara and a second by Brian. All in favor? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 0. Had to count. All right. And Tracy, you had a chance to look over the bills?
I did. Everything appeared in order. It was a little exciting to see the big item that we're playing to Hutton for the new construction, but you know.
Once you settled down, everything was
Yeah, I was
okay?
like,
Okay.
Definitely. So I make a motion to approve the bills.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Tracy, second by Ryan. All in favor? 5-0. We have no special presentations. We'll move on then to Stuco reports. First up, Maribel from the Dodge City High School.
We're still on the lookout for sponsors to our back-to-school watercraft event. We've contacted Cargill and we're looking into speaking with Toyota to see if they're available to sponsor. Last week, Mr. Hansen proposed OP, Student Council OP, so he sent out a QR code to all members of Student Council that will be in Student Council next year and see if they would like that idea of meeting all together in OP instead of everyone is having to rearrange their schedules because we don't have an OP as it is now. So that was voted in and will be implemented next year. It's a lot more convenient and will work out better, and they're still allowed to meet with different teachers during OP and go to Big P. Also last week with Ms. Feist to tell her about their preferences on some furniture pieces for the new edition of the school. And then we will be volunteering May 24th at Bright Kings for their field day. The principal at Bright Kings contacted me and said if we were able to go and be buddies with the preschoolers so that they can have someone who can look after them. Also, since it is my last Stuco report, I've personally written some thank you notes for all of the board members and for Mr. Cunningham. So thank you guys for allowing me to come and report to you and for really helping me with my public speaking skills.
Thank you,
Thank you
Maribel.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's actually.
Oh,
Are you going to be at the graduation?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, Maribel. We appreciate your time this year.
So is Payson.
Okay, and do we have someone to report from Dodge City Middle School? Okay.
Good evening, I am Alondra Raya from PCM Stuco. First of all, on May 1st, the 6th and 7th graders had their final concert and orchestra. Then on May 23rd, there will be a band concert for 6th through 8th grade students. And these will be the final musical performances of the school year. And DCMS has put on the full of talent. They are going to show it off in this year's Cardinal Jam. Currently, students are preparing for the show that will happen on the 23rd. During Cardinal Jam, students will show their skills as well as receive awards for their accomplishments this year. We hosted Title I night on the 25th of April. projects this year, but their biggest was the Minecraft movie. Students are going to come into the showcase and be able to play the games that the IT students create. And for the past few years, students and staff, and even a few parents have generously donated their hair to people in need. On May 17th, during advisory, we were again having the opportunity to give the program to children with hair loss donations from students, teachers, and staff. At this time, we have 16 students ready to donate their hair to children. Thanks for
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're ready for Carlos from Comanche Middle School.
First of all, I just wanted to thank you for all the times I had when I presented to you guys. I just felt like this was really fun.
We enjoyed having you, Carlos.
And I wanted to introduce our 2017 through 2018 Stuco president for Comanche next year, Efren Martinez. So. And our vice president will be Felicity Campfield. Our secretary will be Ellie Winans, and our treasurer will be Mackenzie Mashak. First of all, I would like to say that today would be the CMS versus DCMS soccer games, which are going on right now as I speak. I was down there, and I was like, oh, I got to hurry down here.
Did you run?
I just, I was like, pick me up.
That sounds better.
And we will be having an 8th grade party or dodgeball tournament on May 19th. And we will be having a career fair May 17th, and colleges will be visiting with future freshmen, 8th graders. There will be 11 colleges, 30 careers, and then also we have Cancer Awareness Week, May 15th through May 19th. There will be cancer facts will be announced every day during the week. QR codes will be posted around the school with questions pertaining to facts given during morning assembly. The T-shirts will be given to students who answer the questions correctly on the QR codes, and basically you just scan the QR code. If you get it correctly, you get your name put in some sort of drawing, and if your name gets picked, you get a T-shirt for Relay for Life. May 23rd is the Cancer Awareness Assembly. We will have a speaker and a ceremony for those affected by cancer. June 2nd, the Comanche Midnight Survivors will take part in Relay for Life, representing Comanche Middle School. And we will be having Comanche Extravaganza May 24th at 1 p.m. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
I've got Carlos. I've got Liz. Okay, we're ready to move on. We have next up recognition of visitors. Persons may present ideas or concerns regarding USD 443 schools. No action will be taken by the board at this meeting. Personalities and behavior of employees are not to be presented during this period, but are to be reported to the employee's immediate supervisor. The president shall determine the amount of time to be spent for citizen participation. If you'd like to address the board, please approach the podium at this time. Seeing nobody, we'll move on. Next up, we have the consent agenda, and that includes the approval of personnel, including the supplemental personnel report, the approval of minutes from the April 24th Board of Education meeting, the approval of studies weekly, the social studies and science for K-5 classrooms, approval of the donation from Burkhart Properties for Ross, and the approval of donation from Shane Hessman, Great American Investments for Ross also.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Tracy, all in favor? 5-0. All right, next up, new business, curriculum and instruction. We have a presentation by the school librarians.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to visit with you about our school libraries. Now, school libraries have changed a great deal over the years. Some of us are old enough to remember library cards and those long, narrow wooden drawers that held thousands of cards to search for collections of biographies and fairy tales and fiction stories from around the world and nonfiction books, and that brought us the latest in science, like someone may walk on the moon someday. We remember reference sections in libraries with encyclopedias and atlases, dictionaries, and of course, Roget thesauruses. Libraries were silent reading and research areas.
Thank you.
Well, we still have fiction and nonfiction. We still have fairy tales and biographies, but we also have computer labs and activity areas. We have story areas. We've got comfy chairs for reading. We've got jigsaw puzzles and Lego centers. We've got photography studios with green screens. We have gaming areas and maker spaces. Those research papers now may include videos or infographics, 3D models or virtual reality. School libraries are now the center of activities in our schools, and that lady with the bun and the glasses on a chain and those sensible walking shoes is now a ringleader, a media specialist, an activity director, a collaborator, and a constant source of information and inspiration. We've brought along with us this evening a little presentation that shows you some of the things that are happening in our libraries, and if we could take a look at that now, thank you.
The impact of the librarian. Librarians love to teach research skills,
slavery in the United States. Lincoln was born on the American frontier in a log cabin in Kentucky. At 7 years old, Abe moved to Indiana with his family.
Information retrieval and evaluation is a lifelong skill that all workforce students needs. School librarians provide that instruction. Teach technology skills for career and college readiness. Librarians are essential learning resources, and librarians are the essential guide inside our schools, leading everyday teaching and learning towards methods and outcomes that best prepare students for the challenge of the 21st century. promote, and scaffold reading. Elementary Dr. Seuss celebration. How do you Seuss? Provide children with literature through book fairs. Collaborate with educators and community.
So we're not really, what we are is a no-shush zone. That's where we are. Along with the presentation that gave you some information, you've been given a gift here. And first of all, there's a packet of information that we would like you at your leisure to read. Yeah, we know what's leisure, but when you get a moment. The other thing that's in the bag also, of course, is everybody loves a new bookmark. So you've got several of those. The other thing is this, and they're called Zen bottles. And they're being made in a lot of the makerspaces now, and they're being used by teachers in the classrooms because What they're used for by the teachers is that when students are in stress levels or they need a focus point, these are set on the tables, they're shook up, and they're set on the tables just so that they have a focus point. Now, don't misunderstand me, I did not mean that you aren't focused. I didn't say that. But on the other hand, I suspect somewhere along the line you may have a little bit of stress, and you may need these. And so we've made one for each one of you. You simply just shake the thing up, and the glitter settles, and it takes quite a while for it to settle down. By the way, they're all different colors, so you can barter with one another as to which color you would prefer to use. We appreciate all that you do for us here in the school libraries, and we invite all of you, and everybody that's here, please, come to school libraries. Come in, join us, visit with us. We're there for you and for the students, and we would like to help you find some information and some inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Excuse us, we're bartering and trading here.
Yeah. We were.
Thank you very much, ladies.
I've had the privilege to work with them quite a bit this school year, and it's been kind of fun to get to know them and then just also to see the creative things that they have going in their libraries and some of the things that they're willing to chip in and help take off teachers' plates and stuff. So it's pretty neat. We're pretty proud of their work. I'm here just to talk a little bit about the elementary grade handbook revisions. All revisions are very minimal this year. And I'm not going to go through and read all the changes. There was one change on the attendance that's going to go into the general elementary handbook, and then once it is approved there, then principals will go back and change it in all of their individual elementary handbooks, but we didn't want to have every change in every handbook until it was acceptable. And that was, again, a very minor change. A few years back, we had decided that if a student was 2 hours late, they could be up to 2 hours late and still get a tardy. And then after that, it was counted as an absence for the full day. And so a few years back, that was changed to an hour and 40 minutes. Then it counts as a half-day absence and that kind of stuff. And so it was added in there, but didn't replace the old wording. And so we this time went ahead and got rid of the old wording and just replaced it with what had been in there for a while, just kind of counteracted each other. Bright Beginnings, that will come at the May 22nd one. That's not on approval for today. Beeson just had a few word changes in their site council area and talking about their parent organizations. Central added just a few things too into like the birthday party sections, kind of addressing candy being brought to class, and encouraging parents to make sure that the kids are in the building before they drive away. All pretty simple things. Miller and Lynn had minimal to no changes. Northwest added just some information about their Facebook page and talking about parking as well, especially with the construction piece for next year. And Ross added a little bit about electronic devices. Sewell, Sunnyside, and Will Roads will just be updating their staff lists and principal letters in the handbooks. You guys have any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. I'll move for approval.
Okay.
Motion by Ryan and a second by Tracy. All in favor? 5-0. Yvonne.
Good evening. Members of the board, Superintendent Cunningham, Madam President. May is just such a busy time for all of us that I just wanted to give you kind of a brief reminder of some of the events going on this month. Each year, the Board of Education shows its appreciation to the employees of USD 443 during Staff Appreciation Week. It's an opportunity to show all employees how much they are appreciated for the effort they put forth for all of our students. As last week was Staff Appreciation Week, Gifts to every employee was delivered like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of last week on behalf of the board. Later this week, we'll be hosting Leadership Dodge. It's sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce each year, and the point is to foster, renew, and sustain vital and diverse leadership in Dodge City and Ford County. The sessions cover key community issues like quality of life, government, crime, business and economic development, community services, education, and healthcare. We have again been asked to host the session on K-12 education on May 11th. The group will meet at the Learning Center, and I have set up several speakers. They'll have lunch then at Dodge City High School, and then they will tour some of our finished and current bond projects. In addition, every year, the district honors its retirees in May with a retirement banquet. As a board member, of course, you are invited, and if you have not RSVP'd to Karen, please let her know as soon as possible if you plan on being there. This year's celebration is May 19th in the Commons area of Dodge City High School. We do have 20 retirees, so we're going to go ahead and begin dinner at 6 with the program following at 6:30. This year also marks the 130th commencement ceremony of Dodge City High School. The USD 443 Board of Education is respectfully invited to attend on Saturday, May 20th. The graduation ceremony begins at 10:30 at the United Wireless Arena, but if you could plan on being there about 10, that would give you the opportunity to come in the same time Cabinet does and be seated all together. Finally, before I go, I just wanted to also remind you that we have another retirement reception on the 18th. It's Alan's retirement reception. Hi, he's glaring at me. I knew that was coming. It was somehow inadvertently left off the agenda. That'll be at the Learning Center. Again, it's come and go from 4 to 6:30, and the public is invited. Any questions I can answer on any of that? Like I said, I know May is a busy time for all of us, but we'll get through it.
Thanks, Yvonne, and we appreciate you facilitating that staff appreciation. We do appreciate our staff and everything that you do every day with no thanks. So we do thank you for that. Okay, next up we have Human Resources, Dr. Nance.
Madam President, board members, Superintendent Cunningham, I just wanted to take an opportunity tonight to update you on where we are in our staffing. It's been a very busy spring. We spent a lot of time going to college career fairs, and I was fortunate to have some very good help out there recruiting for me. When our teacher recruitment and retention committee met, we decided that we wanted to send people to college campuses that had graduated from there and put them out there in front of some of their peers and some of their professors that they would remember and try to establish connections that way. And I think that it worked very well. The difficult thing that I found as I went to some of them myself was that there just aren't as many teacher candidates graduating right now. I heard that from several programs, several universities. And then you face the challenge of geography that students most of the time prefer to stay close to home. So that was a little bit of a challenge as well. And one of the things that I think will happen over the summer or early fall will be a chance for all of us that get together that went out and recruited to talk about our experiences and what we think we might do differently next year. And certainly one of those topics will be, how do we further develop our plan to grow our own student teachers? And what universities can we work with that will be glad to have our students and then also return students to us as qualified teachers? So those will be some conversations that will definitely happen, and we'll keep you posted on some thoughts and ideas that we come up with as a committee. One of the things that I thought was interesting as we've brought people to Dodge City to interview for open positions, we talked to them about some of the things that are available in our district that they don't have in their districts or they weren't exposed to in their student teaching. And some of those things that really caught their attention and seemed to be really strong selling points for our district was the fact that we have instructional coaches and mentoring programs. They're very excited about that. Obviously, as a new teacher, you've spent maybe 12, 14 weeks, 16 weeks doing student teaching. but you don't necessarily feel like you're ready to take it off and do it on your own. And the thought of having a mentor for 2 years plus instructional coaches in every building was very attractive to them. Secondly, they love the fact that we utilize technology in the way that we do in our classroom. And as we talk about the way that that's really used in the classroom, they become very excited about being in a district that has that, because a lot of districts across the state, even in some of the larger cities, don't give those opportunities to their student teachers. Finally, I think the third point that I could see really generated some excitement was the professional development opportunities that are available through our district. Because when you start talking to them about the technology that we have and the way we use it in the classroom, they get that kind of look in their face like, oh goodness, I don't really know what you're talking about, kind of thing. And so then we follow that up with, you know, we do all these really great things, but guess what? We train you how to do it. And it's ongoing learning that is provided through professional development to teachers. And that gives them a little bit of relief that they're not expected to walk in to know how to do everything exactly the way that we want it to be done in Dodge City. So that was also something that I've received feedback from those teachers, that that's what interests them in our district. So I just thought you might find that interesting, that that's what they're saying kind of tips the scale in what really catches their attention about our district. Other than that, I gave you the breakdown of where we are in openings this year and the number of retirements and those that are leaving the district and where we are in getting those filled. And there really hasn't been a significant change since I published this report. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
When we go down into Oklahoma, where do we visit at?
I went to Northwestern in Alva, I went to Southwestern in Weatherford, I went to Oklahoma State in Stillwater, and I went to Northeastern State University in Broken Arrow.
Other than Oklahoma, do we hit any of the other border states at all?
You know, we haven't at this time. Definitely something that we might consider.
Who do we on Kansas? Are we Emporia, Fort Hays, or those?
We're Emporia, we're Pittsburgh State, we're Fort Hays, we're Manhattan.
Yeah.
We try to cover just about all of them. And I've even contacted, we went to Newman in Wichita this year as well. I don't think that has happened in a while, and really enjoyed that opportunity to meet those students. They had some really high-quality students there.
Good. Yeah, that was going to be my third question. Do we do any of the private universities in Kansas? So
We did with them, and now that I know how they do their fair, it's a little bit different than the other ones that we've attended. I will be able, I think, next year to pick up Friends as well.
That'd be good.
Any other?
Ramona, do we, if you just touch on the openings that may not be filled in the fall, long-term subs, how that's going to be covered?
Right now, we have currently hired 2 student teachers that we are familiar with. They have substituted in our schools already. I've had both of them, as Dr. Fortmeyer has had as well, in class at Newman University. So we have a lot of familiarity with these students. We just recently offered them positions to teach after they finished their student teaching in the fall. So we have them hooked up for the spring. And they are definitely quality student teachers that we don't want to miss out on. I have, I think, 3, maybe 4 other student teachers lined up to interview with principals and see if they feel like that's an avenue they want to take with those individuals as well. So that may lead to some long-term subs, but those are planned strategies for doing that. And right now, I'm optimistic that we won't have a large number of other long-term subs.
Good.
We still have a ways to go, though, so it's a little early to hammer that down.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, Ramona.
All right, we've got business services, and while Bill's walking to the podium, I just, Ryan has his child's program
Yeah, I got
at
some
7,
recitals
so
at
he'll
7,
have to
so.
cut out, but it's not anything you said, Bill.
I appreciate knowing that. I really
I was
do.
going to say, so thank you, please.
I used to preach, and every once in a while somebody had to leave, and you always worried, you know. Ryan, you've been there too, I think.
Yes.
This evening, the first proposal that I have before you is the architectural engineering services for the middle school playfields. One of the realities when I came to Dodge City USD is we did not have adequate playfields for then what was just the Dodge City Middle School. I think you all are aware, or I'll make you aware this evening, we currently bus a number of students to playfields up at St. Mary's for soccer practice. I think we do 4 buses every night because we have girls and boys, and it's quite an experience. Anyway, as we're doing the projects, we're trying to make use of the dirt that's coming out of the area from Sewell and some other projects. We felt like it made a good opportunity for us to develop these playfields, at least try to get the first one down, but we're trying to do it with a long-term strategy because we do realize that at some point we may go to 3 middle schools or some other configuration, at which point we definitely have to have some additional fields and would need these. The difficulty in doing this is we are on a kind of a restricted site, so everything you do affects everything else. And the other thing that happens is this is also a major drainage throughway for the city. So it's not only that we have to consider the water that we generate on site, which is normally if you're kind of like at the top of the hill, you just have to worry about the water that you generate if you do parking lots, additional roofs, and so forth. We're kind of downstream, so we have to think about the water that's coming in, plus what we're generating on site, and coming up with all the drainage plans. It's been pointed out to me this is an expensive thing. I agree completely. I've talked to our architect, Tom Montgomery. Most of this money actually goes on to the engineering firms that do all that work. And he kind of went through it and said, Bill, you just don't understand all it takes to make that happen and get all the approvals and everything. So I understand it's a lot of money, but I think we're trying to get something so we don't have to redo it. We don't want to move dirt more than once. We want to have a long-term solution. So that said, we would request the approval of this evening, the amount of $79,625, plus reimbursement expenses not to exceed $5,000 to be paid from the construction fund. The Board of Education is further requested to authorize the board clerk to issue purchase orders and sign a contract subject to review by board council. So,
Could you describe again where the different fields are going to go?
I actually have an updated one. One of the things that's kind of happened to us here, this has gone through about 20 different gyrations. So if I may, let me share these with the board. Passing stuff out.
We are talking about just implementing one.
Yes.
They're working for one field design for the rest.
Right.
I see.
I'll mention something on this. What we're trying to accomplish here with the dirt that's coming out of Sewell, our best information would be that the playfield that is immediately east of Sewell, we think we can get that one done. The other thing that we're trying to look at this point is there's been concerns about parking at a number of our schools. We're looking at possibly, we'd already planned to expand the parking lot that is east of the existing parking lot at Sewell. We're talking about expanding that all the way out to our property line there, behind the city property with the fire station on it. So we can get some additional parking in that area. It's our belief that we will have enough dirt that we can get this first field completed as part of the project. But we would design for the 3-field concept. So if we do add a 3rd middle school at some time in the future, we would have the opportunity and we wouldn't have to be tearing up stuff that we've done to get to that stage. One of the reasons that the field, one of the things that was really a challenge here was trying to get a field with a track around it. Well, why is that important? Right now at Memorial Stadium, we have Dodge City Middle School, Comanche Middle School. We also have Sacred Heart students there from time to time, and also Dodge City Community College using that facility. If we ever get to a point where we need a 3rd middle school, we absolutely will need another track if we're going to offer these, activities for our young people. So this seemed to be the opportune time to at least plan for that, so we're not doing something and then having to redo it maybe 5 or even 10 years down the road. So that's kind of the concept behind here. But again, it's going to take some work. We've got to look at the water retention issues, and it's really a whole site development plan that this is talking about. So, Barbara, does that answer the question that you had specifically?
Yes. Would you characterize it, though, in terms of with the colors, where the location is of the specific one that?
The specific field would be the green field, and it would be immediately east. Basically, the top of it would be immediately east to the expansion that we're building on Sewell Elementary School. And that was kind of the concept of this. We could just take the dirt and kind of spread it all over. We still would have to do a lot of this work because you still got to be concerned about the drainage, because you're paving a different additional space. And remember, if you were to look at this plan with all the other expansions at Dodge City Middle School and Sewell and Northwest, we're creating a whole lot more roof area. And all that roof area becomes area that now doesn't absorb water, so we have to have a plan to take care of that to reduce the flow downstream so we don't create other problems. So this is kind of that total picture.
And the concept that you're talking about, is this a grass field or a turf field?
The discussion at this point has been the one north would be a grass field. The discussion has been eventually we could possibly do a grass field south of that, or we might do a turf field long-term, again, depending on what the needs of the district would be at that point. What we were trying to do is get a large enough footprint, if you will, so we can do whatever we need to do at that point with the field and the track around it. That was kind of the concept. One of the things that we've also had discussion about is if there is room, the field north, we recognize that this will also be used for PE, other activities besides just after-school activities. So if we can make it any wider than a normal football field, we will do that, because that way they may have a PE class that comes out, splits it down the center, and is using two sides of it. Right now, the middle schools use what was red and blue fields. We actually have football practices up there where they kind of put a line down the middle, and we have a school on either side of the line practicing football during football season. Kind of tough on the field, but it works. We get by with it, but we could sure use some more space so that they could do a little bit of a job spreading out and doing more practicing.
So, just to make sure I'm clear, Bill, so you're asking to move forward on the design of 3.
Right.
But in the immediate future, we'd be asked to approve 1 field for
Right.
actual construction.
Right. That's all the dirt and everything that we think we have at this time. I mean, eventually we will probably have to bring some more dirt in. There are a couple other options that may work out depending if the city wants to do some underground water retention. That's been a discussion between our engineers and their engineers. I've never really had this thing where your people talk to my people before the way this project's gone back. But the city has to approve this partly, and then there's also potentially a state. They sign off on the final drainage plan, as I understand it. It's quite an involved process.
But Bill, this wouldn't be the final design cost, correct?
No. What this would do would be the design cost of getting these, at least the master plan in place. But for example, if we were to come back and you said, Bill, I want you to build that field down there, and I want a turf field, I want a track around it, I want bleachers, I want lighting. We're not designing all that at this point. This is really the layout, making sure we have the drainage taken care of, making sure that as we design this, that we would have emergency access to the fields. That's the kind of thing that we're really dealing with at this point. And we should be able then from this point to get, if you said, hey, we don't want to do all that, but we really do realize that there's a need for additional practice fields at the middle school, could we just put a grass field down there without a track, for the next few years, as this intermediate step? We should have enough information that we could say, yes, and based on this, we could give you a costing on that. So that's really where we are at this point.
So you mentioned some of the practice taking place on blue and red field. But as you were talking about Memorial Stadium, with all of the different teams and activities going on down there, we're not presently having any issues with scheduling or anything, are we?
They have done an amazing job, and it's phenomenal the way they do it. I don't want to say there's never an issue. I'll just say that they don't hit my desk, and I'm very grateful for that. We've got some people who do a great, job of working together and making it happen. We schedule games at this point, so if one middle school is having a game here, the other one may be out of town. There's a lot of that kind of thing going on. And the other thing, quite candidly, that saved the day is when we built the additional field at the high school, which is used significantly, with a lot of high school activities. You've got soccer, you've got a lot of practices going on up there after school. We're not transporting those kids to Memorial Stadium for a lot of those things. And that field's getting a tremendous amount of use also during the day. That was kind of, we looked when we added Comanche, did we need to add another field in this area? The answer was yes, but we thought the first thing made more sense to let the high school have those things at the high school and the practices there without transporting all those kids. And that was basically on account of, our attorney kept saying every time you start transporting kids, especially if you've got young kids who are driving other children to these practices back and forth, what's the liability of the district? So that's kind of the reason we went that first.
So it does seem like there might be some sort of a need, but this seems to be more of, and I think you said it.
It's future.
Future planning.
Right.
So that's kind of my dilemma, I
I
guess.
agree.
So,
Yeah.
I'm
Can you
struggling with it.
describe, I guess, the health of the construction fund? I'm not real familiar what's in the construction fund or where we sit with that.
This basically, there is dollars available in the construction fund for these costs because we knew there were going to be designs that had to happen in order to take care of the dirt and stuff around the projects. And there is dollars in that. And I hate to quote a cost because I don't like to do things I don't know, but I'm thinking there's an excess of $300,000 in that fund to do these kinds of things and get the planning and so forth done. I believe that's kind of where we were. When we did the initial plan and the architectural services, we left some money because we knew there were going to be some things like this coming up to take care of as we went through the project.
And out
Go
of that
ahead.
construction fund, do you have any other things that you think might come up? I mean, is this going to drastically going to?
Well, the other thing you're going to have this evening a little later is, for example, with Central Elementary School, we bought the additional property. We're going to have some additional cost in redesigning some of the things that we had done there. And plus, that's a larger project than we originally designed. We may have some additional cost. I think it may be enough in there already, but for example, at Miller Elementary, we looked at adding some additional parking, not a big deal, but there may be some additional cost on those kind of things. I'm not aware of a lot of other things coming down the pike at this point, no.
Bill, we still have, because you and I talked about it, I think, one day last week while the architects and engineers were here. We still have a fairly healthy owner's reserve. And
Yes.
there is still I don't think they call it a builder's reserve, contractor's reserve, whatever.
Construction
that is.
contingency. yes.
Construction contingency, okay. We're talking to the tune, I think the one I saw, only one of those two was like 500 and something thousand.
Yeah.
So we're still doing well with the construction funds.
We've been pretty conservative on what we've done. We've tried to maximize, make sure we haven't shorted any of the projects. But we're also, I guess enough of us have been through this before, we know that we need some contingency because things, I think on the tour, I mentioned the bad dirt that we had at a couple locations, and those things you just have to take care of, and you got to have somebody to take care of them, and that's kind of where we are with it.
Is there a reason we need to do this now, or is there something we can hold off on until we have better confidence that we're not going to?
I've got to do something with the dirt. I have to have a plan to the city of what we're going to do with the dirt. That's the thing. I mean, and we could do something maybe a little cheaper. We're probably going to save some, but we're probably not going to save that much. I still got to have a plan of what to do with it, how to handle the runoff from the total construction
Even just to
project.
build the one field with the dirt that's already there, we'd have to pay some design engineering fees just to get that one field in place and the drainage taken care of. All they're gonna do with the rest of this is just tell us what we could do in the future. Now, I don't know what the difference in price would be. I don't have any idea.
I don't think it's going to be that much. It might be some, but I don't think it's really going to be that much. It's just, what do you want to plan for the future? That's really the question.
All we don't want to do is stuff doesn't happen very often around here, but it has happened on a couple occasions. We do something, and then within 2 or 3 or 4 years later, we go back in and undo it so we can do something else. And I think by having a total master plan for that area, we're not going to put water retention, they call them, I don't know if they call them dams, dikes, retaining walls, whatever. We're not going to put something in that if we decide to build another field 5 years from now, we'll have to tear all that out and put the field in. This would mean that the design would take into account future planning and future growth for those other 2 fields. We're not paying to have them done. The only thing you're going to see is one field going up east of Sewell.
And the only other thing this does allow is if there's dirt beyond what we can do for the one field, then we know where to place the dirt, so it's already in place for the next stage. And I can't tell you, I mean, it's amazing listening to them discuss how many cubic yards of dirt you have at these piles and calculations, and that's a whole nother discussion. And I'm seeing some nodding of head. I think sometimes that's more estimate than it is that we feel pretty comfortable and get the one field in, but beyond that, there may be extra We just want to make sure we move it once, not 2 or 3 times. That's what we're trying to accomplish, folks.
And I'm sorry, Bill and Alan, so forgive me. This is probably something I should know then, but I don't, so I'm gonna ask. So the dirt, we have a contractual obligation, I guess, for lack of a better term, to do something with this?
We either have to
dirt. Is
pay to
that what
haul it
that
off.
is?
We have to pay to haul it off.
Okay.
Or we have to use it.
To
on-
use it, to do
use
something
on
with it.
site.
Like, okay.
And if we're ultimately gonna have play fields down there of some kind, we don't wanna haul it off and then turn around in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years and pay somebody else to bring it back. We'd just as soon have it designed on where we can put it now, so we know what the potential use is in the future.
But we'll still need to have a plan. Somebody will have to design even just for that field east of Sewell. We'll still have to pay to.
And that's taken care of. That's
part
this
of
price.
this.
That's
that
part
would be
of
the
this.
finished
Yes, that will be done.
product, yes.
The
Okay.
things that aren't done is if you were to tell me tonight, Bill, we really want those other fields done, and we want them lit, we want a turf field out there, we want a track out there, we want all that done. No, that's not part of this design.
But the first field would be.
The first field's complete, but then the others, at least it's designed, here's where your footprint would be, here's what the elevation should be, here's how that all should work out. So we have that much done. We just don't have, it's like, we've got kind of the plot plan, if you would, but we don't necessarily have all the other things, if you wanted bleachers and all those things together.
Okay.
This is kind of like we did at the high school. We really did a master plan of the facility around the high school, the physical facility. And when we got to the point where that we made the determination we wanted to build that field at the high school instead of in this area, it really helped because we knew where to put it. There had been discussions about putting the field in front of the high school, and I guarantee you, I went out and looked, it looked like there was plenty of room. When you actually put it on the plans, we would have been in the street in front of the high school. You know, it's just, you know, but we had that all planned, so we knew what we needed to do. It's helped as we've developed this project. We kind of had that all outlined. So this is really just give us the footprint to go forward with. And we hopefully will get one full field out of it, which I will lay you odds, if you come back a year from now or after it's done a year, you'll see a lot of activity on that field day in and day out.
Okay, so Alan's points, well, you guys' points well taken about the dirt, maybe having to move that multiple times. I guess I still struggle, though, with constructing a field. But I guess tonight then would be, and to vote on putting a plan together.
That's right.
Not
And
necessarily us, yes, we're going to go ahead and move forward on a field.
But we're gonna move forward with the one field. That's in the plan.
So that is
would
in the
be-
plan.
That would be done. If you
Yeah.
approve this, that field would be completely designed and done.
yeah.
The other two would be designed as far as the dirt work goes, but there's nothing that would be done with them unless we had extra dirt. We just put it in the right spot.
Yeah.
So if we're approving the field, then why did we choose to do the one just straight east of Sewell instead of going straight east of the middle school?
The decision on that was partly because that was probably the cheapest of the three to do. And it's also the way that I'm gonna get myself in trouble because this is not my brick, folks, but it's probably also the way the water and the retention works. They felt that was the best, quote, bang for our buck at this point. As we get deeper in this project, the water retention becomes real critical, and they felt like that was where we could do some water retention in that field. And with it planned to be a natural grass field, then you've got the percolation into it. There were a lot of engineering questions that's finally where we came
It's
up
the
with.
highest elevation,
Yeah.
other than the one up there across from the Civic Center that we're not talking about right now. This one would be a higher elevation, so it would naturally drain off first into the lower one.
And so, and the drainage plans, if you looked at those, they even get more complicated. And I'd want one of the engineers or Tom to come in and walk through with those, because, maybe Brian could explain them or somebody, but that's a whole different, yeah.
Here's my thought. Of course, I'm speaking as an individual. So I'm not completely opposed, but I'm not completely for it. So do we meet again this month?
Yes.
Because this obviously doesn't have to be, I know they want to get started, but I don't think it has to be done tonight. Can we hold off? Maybe table it to turn I'm
What are some
looking for?
others? Would you like some more time to think about it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So-
I think
Is
that
there
we need
anything
to.
critical about this timing?
I don't know. I just know they're moving. They're calling it Sewell Mountain up there because seriously, they are.
Yeah, okay.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
Well, it's not, yeah, okay.
Just depends on how many kids are gonna be climbing on it.
Well, we shouldn't have another heavy snow, so we can't go sled on it.
Yeah, we're gonna get in trouble already with Middle School Hill. if we
Yeah.
Move forward with this.
Yeah, no kidding. What damage is there if we hold off to the next meeting?
I don't know. I mean, we're just trying to move the project forward, and I'm trying to give people the best information I can.
I think that we're
Is there
just not
additional
ready to.
information?
That's fine. If you want, and maybe what I need to do is ask either the engineers or Tom to come in and walk through. They'll do a better job explaining this than I can, because this isn't what I do for a living, and
I just
you've
feel
done
like
a nice job,
you've done
Bill.
fine,
Yeah,
Bill.
no,
I
I
just
really-
feel like we're not ready to jump yet.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, as I said, I'm not opposed per se, but I'm just not ready to say yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, and we already there's plenty of gyms in town, there's plenty of fields in town. Not just as it relates to the district, just in general around the.
Right.
So,
Right.
I need a.
Yeah, I think we
You'd
need
think
a
that
couple
I could have thought
weeks
about
to-
it by now, but I just need now that I've got some more information, and I just need a little time to think about it. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So you
Just
need a
hold on.
motion to defer action on this, or at least to,
Yeah, I mean, if we could bring
our
it back
next
up for
meeting.
action at our next board
Yeah,
meeting.
at the next meeting.
so
Okay.
I'll make
You
that
want it at the
motion.
luncheon meeting or at the June meeting?
The luncheon
lunch
meeting would be
That would
fine.
be,
to
that'd be
get it
helpful.
taken
If we can
care
get
of,
that
yeah.
moving on.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah. And do we need to make a motion on that, Bill?
That's a parliamentarian issue, but if you wanted to say, to defer or postpone till the.
Table it until the.
Table it until the next board meeting.
I'll move to table.
All right, we have a motion by Barbara and a second by Brian. All in favor?
Aye. Okay, I have to excuse myself. You don't have anything else that exciting, do you, Bill?
Oh, I don't know. We haven't talked about the syrup Miller yet. I mean, there's more to come. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to go.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Bill.
The next item is a change order for Central Elementary, and I think as we've talked about this, there's some money coming out of the owner's reserve. But most of these items are really, it's a matter of transferring it from the architect's budget into the construction budget. So we have, at the end of the project, when the auditors audit us, we know exactly what each of those funds should be. If there's anything specific, we'd be happy to do it. This has all been budgeted. The funds are available. It's not there's no financial problem with any of this. And if there's any questions, we'd be happy to try to explain.
Yeah, what's tenor?
What?
On the first line item?
Oh,
What is that?
some of the dirt at some locations has more challenges. And if you have that, there is a special mat. Am I going to be correct on this, Brian? This is a mat, as I understand it, that goes between the soil and the rock. And that's what I believe that is. And they felt like, based on the geotech's report back, some places you need to do it, some places you don't. They recommended it. I want those parking lots to last forever. So that's the reason we're doing that and making that recommendation.
And that's the area where those additional properties,
Could be, and I believe it is, yes. But anyway, that was their recommendation based on the soil samples and whatever, and I said, okay, again, I don't argue with the geotechs and the engineers. They came back and said, we need to do it, and I said, fine.
That's the only extra fund in this whole list here is that. The rest of it's just moving it from one architect's fund into the construction fund.
okay. Make a motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion by Tracy and a second by Barbara. All in favor? 4-0.
Okay. Next item, Head Start Duration Grant Remodel. We've had this discussion. We basically have a grant from the federal government from Head Start. It's in the amount now of $657,000, or excuse me, I better get down and get the right number here. $609,210. And what we're doing is trying to prepare some rooms at Sunnyside Elementary to be available for early Head Start. And we're moving our Head Start program, now you keep me right on this, from half days to full days.
Some classrooms.
Yes, some classrooms, not all, but some classrooms, and this will give us the space to do that. Candidly, these are expensive, but we had two bids from competent contractors, and it looks like that we've come up with the best solution. There are some things you don't have to do as a board. Our recommendation is what we would do, the new cabinets, equipment, and finishes, because when you're done and then you have old stuff, you really don't want to go back and redo it at that point. The alternate bid too is, there is a bid that is separate behind this project. There's part of it that's behind the existing restrooms and boiler room, and we made a recommendation that we'd have a men's and women's restroom available to the outside. Now, why would we do that? There's two reasons we do that. One, if you have a PE class outside and you have a child that needs to use the facilities, you don't have to send them inside the building unsupervised. You can handle it right there, and they're in a real close place to where their teacher or their supervision would be. The other reason is at the school at Sunnyside, there's a tremendous number of people who use that on a variety of occasions to practice soccer and so forth. And so if it is being made available to the public, that would be some restrooms we could open at that point without opening the whole building and having that kind of liability. We felt like it would be a good community service to have that available. Again, that's up to the board. Exterior doors, this was to downgrade the doors. We are not recommending that. We're recommending we go with the doors that were originally proposed on it. The roofing is kind of a have to, because we have to get the roofing over it. We did need to do that separately because there's also a roofing bid on the rest of the building, but we had to break it out for some other reasons, so that's been done. And anyway, the recommendation of administration is basically do everything except alt 3, which is $805,500. And you'll notice out of that, the capital outlay fund would be $196,290 with $609,210. There is kind of a contingency on this because as part of this grant, and I'm going to look at our Head Start principle and make sure I say this right, there is a checklist of, I believe it was 25 items on that checklist that we have to meet before we can start the project. And we have been diligently working on that. I think we're down to 5 or 6 items, but we're going ahead and asking for board approval, but we will not start the project until that list is checked off and approved by the Head Start people, because if we do, they may not want to pay for it. So there are still 5 or 6 items, but we'd like to get started as soon as we can. So we will not start until those things are all checked off. We still have to do an appraisal, and there's 3 or 4 other things that we have to do. There's been a tremendous amount of work by the Head Start and also my staff to get some of those others answered. But that's kind of the story on this, and if you have any questions, be happy to answer those.
So the bathroom construction for the outside bathroom, if we were to take that off,
You just deduct $55,000.
that doesn't change the roofing at all? It doesn't change
No,
the square
because we're going to put the 10-foot across the entire back. At one time, we had a design, we were just going to add on bumps for the restrooms, and the more the contractors looked at it, they said it's going to cost more to come in and out than just put a full 10-foot across the entire back of the building. It would have cost us more to have not, in other words, it's kind of crazy, but we ended up with more square footage for probably less money than if we'd done it the other way. So it's a contingency across.
I guess I have a little bit of reservation about having those restrooms, perhaps having some vandalism issues or.
Do we have one of those right now? Is it at Ross? We have some that are immediately inside the
Yes.
playground area.
We do have, when we designed Ross, we set it up so there is a bathroom available where you can shut off the rest of the building, go into the building, and then there is a restroom available.
It's not just open to the outside all the time. It has to be opened by someone from inside, and the building has to open that up. It's not something like you go out to a park and they just be an open restroom. Someone would have to unlock that door for it to be used by the public.
And I think that was kind of our concept. If there's somebody that's using our fields, we know who that is. Let's say there's a teacher that's also sponsoring a soccer team or something, fine, give them a key. So if some child has to use the facilities, it's not a problem. And we also don't open the building up and have that kind of thing. Again, I share your concerns with it. If you want to cut that out, we can sure cut it out. It's just,
it's obviously a nice perk to have. I just don't think that price, it's a necessity that we provide it.
that's absolutely a board determination. We just tried to design everything at the point where we had the options, and if you want to cut that out, it just comes out of the project, and we'll sign the contract for the remainder. It's up to you all. You're the board.
I would be in favor without the alternate bid 2 and 3.
Okay.
And be mine. Do you have thoughts, Barbara?
I'm not sure. It does sound to me as if those kinds of restrooms that are available to the public add a lot of additional responsibility on the school system too, to keep them clean and to make them available. So I'm not sure that they're necessarily what the public expects.
And and the other reality is you can put them in, you don't have to make them available other than when we have kids on the playground too. That would be the other option. There were really two purposes in doing that. Part of the justification on this one was, especially with the smaller kids, and I'm trying to think of the age of the children who would be here on this project. Is it 4-year-olds primarily? We could even have 3 or 4-year-olds in the project, and I just know, having had a little one, sometimes if you're out, it seems like you can tell them all to go to the bathroom before, but then suddenly you're inside. That was the reasoning. It's not, again, I just want you to understand we had thought through it, but there's some very good reasons not to do it too. It wasn't just a whim, we could, think of it, but it's whatever y'all want to do.
Do we want to defer this one too and take some more time to think about it? And maybe
We really
Tammy?
need to get moving.
We need to.
Yeah.
We do?
We really do.
If you want to come back, I mean, you could take out the restrooms tonight, and if at the next board meeting, you all decide, hey, that's something we really ought to go ahead and do, we could add it back in at that point, but we really do need to move on this project. So that would be the other option. If you'd rather take it out, then if you want to come back, I mean, that could be added later in the project.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the base bid, all bid 1 and all bid 4.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Tracy and a second by Brian. All in favor?
Okay.
4.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill. You got another one?
Oh, I've got 2 more. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We've added one.
Yep.
Two.
We've added one. This is basically, as we got the additional property, in order to meet the city's requirement that we have additional parking at Central, you're aware that the original plans had kind of been with the playground on Central and the parking on Avenue A. Now we've kind of switched those so that the parking's going to be on Central and the playground's going to be on Avenue A. It also meant that we now have additional things to do in terms of considering the stormwater runoff, et cetera, where we're going to have a retention pond. And this is basically to cover those additional services plus design all the other things. The original projects on some of these did not include all the playground design and those things. It was, we talked about expanding the schools, but we hadn't gotten there. This cleans up all that and gets you a completed project as far as the planning and design. We're really pretty good shape on this. We think we got some good ideas. We're still trying to get some determination on how much and how deep we need for retention areas, but we still want it to look right. So we're still working on some things there. We think that this will get us all the engineering and architectural services we need to have a completed project.
Make a motion to approve the amendment to architectural engineering services for Central.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Tracy and a second by Brian. All in favor?
Okay.
4-0.
Let's see. Am I now down to the Miller
Sewer.
There's some gifts that seem to keep on giving, and I don't know how else to say this one. You are aware, I think, of the Miller Sewer situation. We've had several discussions here. We came in based on engineers' recommendations and kind of looked at everything that was done in the original building. We got a bid back that was about $850,000, and that, I think, is with your additional packet this evening. And we determined that we just couldn't in good conscience come forward with that. We talked to the contractors who also talked to the subs, and part of the issue is while we have plans of the building, you're never sure those plans are really as-built, especially that many years ago. And we said, is there a way? And then we also started having concerns, how much could we get done over the summer? Because come August, that building's got to be ready for occupancy. We've got a bunch of kids that are going to be in that building, and we weren't sure we're going to get it all done. So we had some more meetings with the engineers, the architects, et cetera, contractors. And what we're proposing this evening is it would basically address where we've had the last problem, which is the north end of the base, starting from the lobby, going north in that building. And basically, we're going to go in the tunnels. And instead of tearing out all the floors, we're going to take 2 pieces of that and do 2 places where we're going to have tunnels opened up, where we'll put a lid on those tunnels. Go in and tear. There's still old steam pipes in those tunnels. Get rid of all that, all the old plumbing, and basically put a sewer line through there. That became, again, $127,000 as it indicates, $129,552. The dilemma we hit then was that did not include tying in the sinks from the classroom into the plumbing and the water fountains along that hall. That became a problem because while we think we know how that was built, we don't know. And until we tear it out, we won't know. So the recommendation that we have this evening is we approve this with the understanding that as it's torn out, we maybe do a time and material, or we may get a separate bid basically to tie in those sinks. The sense was if we put in the plumbing pipes at this point, it was going to be extremely difficult to go back and tie in the sinks and the drinking fountains, and we really didn't want to do this and then go back and have a problem in the same area. We think if what we believe is true, that will not be a major addition to this cost, but we just don't know. We may go in and they may have concreted those plumbing fixtures, the pipes in and concrete, and we may have a heck of a mess, or if they have blocked it out, I think I'm using the right terminology in that, Brian, but if they blocked it out the way we think they have, it won't be a big deal to change them out. This is the recommendation today. We feel like we need to take care of that. That has been a problem. And if we come up with this one and it works, we may see a little more competitive bidding the next time in the next project, and we could do that next summer. So this is it's not the total project like we talked, but we just didn't feel like we could spend that much money. But we think it gets us at least down the road and kind of toward the move to take care of it.
Once Hutton or whoever gets in there and sees what it is they're dealing with, they'll feel much more comfortable giving us a bid on getting the rest of it done, because it all needs to be done eventually. So we're just repairing the part we've had the biggest problem with. But once they see what it's going to take, hopefully we'll get a little more realistic bid than what we received the first time.
I feel like this is something that we really don't have much choice. It's got to be done. Yeah.
I wish we had a lot of choice on this, and
Right.
I'm kind of, you expressed my sentiments exactly.
Make a motion for approval.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Brian, second by Barbara. All in favor? 4-0.
Thank you all. I think that's everything I've got. Thank you all for your time this evening.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, we have Board of Education member district responsibilities. Barbara, do you have a report on Park and Recreation?
Yeah. We're getting close to summer, and Parks and Recreation is gearing up. And one of the things I wanted to point out was that the Long Branch Lagoon will be opening sometime probably at the end of this month. And they will be preparing shelters for parties and concerts, and that should be completed by the time they open by June 1st. And also by opening date, the new climbing wall in the deep end of the pool should be in place. That allows, I guess, adults and children to jump into the deep end of the pool from after climbing on that structure. Moving to the offices for Parks and Recreation, they're going to be moved from the City Hall to the Santa Fe Depot, and that should be taking place right now. And lastly, talking a little bit about Legends Park, it's been hosting baseball and softball tournaments already, and including one that is taking place this weekend at Legends Park. That's the report I have for today.
Okay, thanks, Barbara.
Did we ever hear the college vote on the softball infield?
They're voting on it Wednesday. Do you have a Bright Beginnings Head Start report?
I do. They had a great start to May, completed home visits. They were able to meet with several of the parents, review this year's progress in evaluating the readiness for the kindergartners. Most of the families have completed kindergarten enrollment. They've been working with the Regional Head Start office, completing the necessary paperwork to start the renovations at Sunnyside for the full-day classrooms, and a lot of things that go on with the Head Start standards and making plans to address those the coming year. They've been working with the co-op, implementing a couple of new initiatives this fall, serving students with special needs in a pilot peer buddy program. And with the resource teachers and SLPs teaming up with classroom teachers using an inclusion model of service. And they're teaming up with several organizations in the city to pull off another successful end of year event at Wright Park. If any of you guys want to volunteer, it's Wednesday, May 24th. If you want to be a preschool buddy, they guarantee you'll have a priceless experience.
price.
And they're going to have AM and PM sessions, so volunteers can sign up for either or the whole day.
And who do we contact if we want to volunteer?
Debbie White.
Is that all?
That's it, that is.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. All right, special education.
Jeff did join the meeting by phone. It was just usual and customary business.
Okay. And do we have anything legislative?
No.
Why would we expect that?
Yeah, sorry, that's the gist of it.
And we don't have any new business on capital outlay or calendar. Barbara, you're scheduled to review district bills before the June meeting. Announcements, Thursday, May 18th, the Come and Go Retirement Reception. There it is, Yvonne, for Alan Cunningham, the Learning Center, 4 to 6:30. Friday, May 19th, USD 443 Retirement Banquet, Dodge City High School, 6 o'clock. Saturday, May 20th, Dodge City High School Commencement, United Wireless Arena, 10 o'clock. What time did you want us there, Yvonne?
No, it's at 10:30, graduation, and we can be there at 10.
Oh, okay. We're there at 10. It starts at 10:30. Okay. Sunday, May 21st, Dodge City Education Center Adult Diploma Program Graduation Ceremony at Dodge City High School at 2 o'clock. Monday, May 22nd, our Board of Education luncheon meeting at Dodge City High School at noon. Wednesday, May 24th, last day pre-K to 11 classes. And Thursday, May 25th, Teacher Workday, last day of the 2016-17 teacher contract. Do we have anything that we'd like for future board meetings or additional information? No? All right, we need an executive session for the discussion of negotiations to protect the public interest. And we need also for discussion of personnel matters of non-elected personnel. How much time do we need, Alan?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
I'd like to ask Tammy and Ramona to stay with us.
Okay.
How many kids are graduating? Do we know?
I don't know. How many do we have graduating this year? Do you know? To be determined.
There's a whole lot of shaking.
We need a motion for, okay. All right, a motion by Barbara, second by Tracy. All in favor?
There's a lot of getting going on at Study Hall right now.
That's how it is at the college, too. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. While everybody's leaving, are you planning on attending graduation?
Yes.
Okay, and I assume you are. Barbara, are you planning on?
I have a slight chance I'll be gone, but
We'll have a chair for you and we'll
not
put
you can
a,
grab it and throw it off the stage.
good. We'll put your likeness in it or something if you're not there.
Yeah, but everybody wants that. Man, I feel like it's Christmas in May.
I know, we got all kinds of goodies.